Now, today's presidential election rerun in Kenya has implications not only for the East African country, but also for much of the region and indeed the African continent. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, authoritarianism is on the rise, with elections postponed, independent media silenced, presidential term limits expanded, and opposition figures locked up. President Joseph Kabila has been accused of using repression and violence to maintain his hold on power, despite the end in December 2016 of his constitutionally mandated two-term limit. A power-sharing agreement mediated by the Catholic Church in late 2016 provided for elections by the end of 2017. But recently, in a new twist, the DRC's Electoral Commission has said that elections cannot now take place until at least April 2019. Civil society leaders in the DRC, though, insist Mr. Kabila must step down by the end of this year. They've proposed a brief post-Kabila transition period in which credible elections would be organized and led by people who cannot run for office themselves. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by one of the people driving efforts for change in the DRC, UK-based Okito Tongomo, who leads the DRC opposition movement here in Britain. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. What do you make of the Congolese Electoral Commission's announcement that elections cannot now take place until April 2019?
Thank you very much, Charles. We seriously regret the announcement because normally they have shown to the rest of the world the continued use of breach of the law and no respect to the value of the Constitution. They were given extra time just to give them more chance to organize the election. And again, I believe this election commission have shown to the rest of the planet they're very competent, so we're expecting them to resign immediately. So
is this announcement by the Electoral Commission one that the people of the DRC are going to accept, or is it a case of having to accept?
Charlie, we're talking about people being going through a difficult time. We are talking about the respect of the Constitution and the country that have been going through a lot of difficult times, where we see somebody whose the mandate was finished, expired officially since 2016. People been killing for the asking for free and fair elections since the end of Mr. Kabila's mandate. That is not happening, so nobody in Congo is expecting to hear this. It's another way, again, to kill civilians. People are already suffering in silence, and we're calling the rest of the planet to help Congo. The situation is chaotic, Adam.
Just describe for us the current state of the security situation in the DRC, because we understand that parts of the country are in the hands of militants and insurgents.
Yeah, we regret some military group. They are not very good for us because normally when you look in a part of the east of the Congo, is northeast of the Congo, where we have some small rebel group who are using excessive way of killing people using machete and killing innocent civilians. That has been very, very terrible, and it's an act of terrorist that we cannot accept. I understand that those people have been here operating for years, but what we regret is the government has been enabled, incompetent to protect the
Yeah, but I mean,
civilians.
you've also got Kasai province, where up to 5,000 people have been killed, more than 1 million displaced since August 2016. My question to you is, in those circumstances,
yes,
is it not reasonable that the Electoral Commission is asking for enough time to be able to properly organize credible elections? I mean, let's just look at Kenya, a country that is not at war, but look at the challenges it faces holding credible elections. I mean, what more a country in conflict on several fronts like the DRC?
I really appreciate, especially using an example of Kenya, I really appreciate the model Kenya is giving to African continent. This is a country that are just going through another election after the election were contested and went to the justice where I think the High Court have to take a decision to give them another chance. This is a good example. We're expecting to see more in Africa. Going back to the Congo issue, I really don't share that view with you, Charles, especially when the election commission will claim that because of the stability in the Congo, so they cannot organize the election. This is an instability created by the government. Let me give an example. Kasai province, this has been a very long-term stable place in the world. Kasai never had any problem for years, for decades, even before Kabila came to power. Where the issue coming from? We can ask ourselves this type of question. I can insist on the situation which is been very permanent in Kivu province. But we got more than 15,000 United Nations force in Congo. Those people are there to help and make sure the situation will go peaceful.
But in fairness to the Electoral Commission, the head of the UN peacekeeping mission in Congo, Maman Sidiku, has said the Electoral Commission is terribly underfunded. International donors have contributed just 6% of the $123 million that the UN has been asking for to put towards organizing the election. So, I mean, the fact is, even if Mr. Kabila wanted to conduct elections by the end of this year, there's just no money to do it.
Charles, I think we are going through a process where everybody can say that this is really an unnecessary excuse that has got no way to happen. Nobody will accept that. Number one, let me go through with you on this issue.
Briefly.
Yeah. Number one, the election was supposed to take place in 2016. Kabila was given 5 years mandate to one, the priority, which is right in our constitution, was for president to prepare for the election. I think Article number 17 is giving the president the power to organize election and make sure all the institutions in the country have to run properly. Mr. Kabila failed to organize the election. Now he's claiming there's no money to organize the election. That's really unacceptable for a very young society who's growing. We got a law issue in Congo where we should accept that the government should have an excuse probably to organize the election when talking to the security. But the security has been shown to the rest of the planet. The country has been stable and those elections could be run properly. The government is creating some small pocket of insecurity just to delay the election. Number two, which I would like to insist on this issue, Charles, the population in the Congo has been a victim of so many years of abuse and atrocity and intimidation by the regime. And this has to be changed now. I understand the government is working hard. We're going through from history of dictators to the situation we are at the moment having election for the first time in a time. But all this issue should be working properly to give the Congo a stable time where people are wanting to have. So all these aspects have to be taken into consideration. Okay. There's no excuse to delay the election. The government has failed, and I come back to the solution, which comes to the first person who mentioned. Mr. Kabila have to step down officially because he's not there to be running the country. He's got no mandate. He was there by special accord given by the bishop. Okay. He should step down and give to another institution to run the election, and we are calling for the international community and the whole of the planet to help the voiceless Congolese people.
Okay, Okito Tongomo, who leads the DRC opposition movement here in Britain, thank you very much indeed.
Really appreciate it.